Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we're going to be taking a look at the 4-2-3-1 wide. Obviously, we're going to be doing our new and improved ranking system, which we're going to be doing, the way we're going to be doing it is going to be taking a look at the instructions and tactics first that we did end up settling on, and then at the end of the video we're going to be going into a live section with some gameplay and just reviewing some of our gameplay and then talking about how we rate this system. So if you do like this format and you do want to see more, do drop a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what other formations you'd like to see going forward. But going into this 4-2-3-1 wide, now this for me, we did do our best formations in FIFA, what I think were the top 5 formations. I think we put this one at number 4, and it is a good solid formation. It is not a personal favourite of mine. For me personally, when I use this formation, I find it to be a little bit too defensive. What I don't like about this formation, I feel like everybody starts a little bit too deep. Obviously you have your back 4, which is normally in every formation, but you have 2 CDMs, and then you have left and right midfielders, which obviously is more defensive than wingers or left and right forwards, for example, and then a cam and striker. So for me personally, it's not a huge favourite of mine, this formation, because I do find it is a little bit too defensive. But obviously the positives with this formation is it is very tough to break down. Obviously it's universal and it's used by a lot of people. It's very difficult to break down. Obviously you can hold possession good. It's tough to get in between the lines because you've got 2 CDMs, and obviously it's tough to get out on the wing because not only do you have the fullbacks, but you've also now got the left and right midfielders to try and deal with. So it's a very tough formation to have a lot of success with, and I think the reason why a lot of people use this formation is for that reason, because it is tough to break down. Now that obviously makes for, you know, some quite tedious games. You know, I always find that the most boring games I have in FIFA are when people use this formation, but you know, I understand why people use this formation. Obviously, if it's about being successful and about winning games, then obviously you want to use whatever is best. And some people feel this is the best way for them to get wins. For me personally, I find it's a little bit too defensive, but each to their own. Everyone likes their own sort of formation. Now, the tactics that I found were most successful with this formation. Now, obviously, I use my striker on stay central and getting behind. I think if you're going to use this formation, because it is quite a defensive formation, I would say, you do need to really have a quick, pacey striker. I think if you have like a slow striker, you're not going to have a lot of success because you don't have too many attacking options when using this formation. Because as I said, your players, the biggest problem with this formation is your players start too deep. You feel like every time you get the ball up to your striker, you feel like you've not got any players around you to lay the ball off. So it's a formation that if you're going to play this well, you really need to play it on like a counter attack. Unfortunately, that's the only real way to be successful with this formation, unless you're someone that is very patient and you're very good at passing the ball. Because obviously, because everybody in your team is so deep, you have to move the ball up the pitch really slowly and let your team move up at the same time as you're moving the ball. So it's a formation that, unless you're very good in possession, or unless you just want to be one of those players that just plays counter-attack, that's really the only way to play, I think, successfully with this formation. So we've got Mbappe, use him on stay central, getting behind. Socrates, I decided to use on stay forward and get into the box. Again, I wanted to try and make this formation as attacking as possible, because I think a lot of people that use this formation use it in a really defensive, negative way, and I'd maybe like to try and promote a more positive attacking way of using this formation. So I found that stay forward and get into the box was pretty positive. On the wide areas, I had the fullbacks, the wide midfielders, sorry, not the fullbacks, I had the wide midfielders on stay forward, cut inside, getting behind and get into the box. So staying forward again, really just trying to, or almost trying to just make it more attacking, you know, just try and get more of my players staying higher up the field and just creating more problems in behind. Cut inside, because for me personally, with the fullbacks, we'll get onto the fullbacks, but I had the fullbacks obviously on overlap, so I want them to kind of not get in each other's way. Getting behind obviously is the way we want to play, and then get into the box again for when our opposition on the opposite winger is trying to get the ball into the box. Obviously we want as many players in the box as possible, so we've got the one get into the box, and that's the same for Messi. 2 CDMs we've got on stay back while attacking, man mark, and cover centre. Of course, cover centre is just a no-brainer. You never ever want to play cover wing, especially in this formation, because you've already got a left and right midfielder and left and right fullbacks. You know, you've got plenty of players out there who want to cover the middle of the pitch. I don't know why anyone would use cover wing anywhere. I've never ever found cover wing useful in any situation. Stay back while attacking. Now, you know that normally on this channel, and I always like to use drop between defenders, but because we've got 2 CDMs, playing with drop between defenders is not super effective when you've got two. It's more effective when you've just got a lone CDM. So for that reason, I think stay back while attacking is the best. And man mark, this is more of a personal preference. This is not this is kind of what do you want. I personally prefer to play on man mark. I find it more effective. I like it when my CDMs are kind of like touch tight to my opposition's players. But you could use cut passing lanes if you're someone that wants to if you are someone that wants to kind of counter attack. Then cut passing lanes is a good way to go, because your player can then jump in front of the lanes. If he's successful and wins the ball, you straight into a counter attack. However, the risk is if obviously he misses that lunge in and he's completely out of the game. So for me, I like to use man mark. I think it's a little bit more my style of play. And then on the fullbacks, because we've already got left and right midfielders, then they're on stay forward, so they're not going to be providing any defensive cover at all. Stay back while attacking is the way we want to go on the fullbacks, as I said, because the wingers aren't going to be protecting the fullbacks. You don't want to have them on balance and then them out of position as well. So stay back while attacking for both fullbacks is where I found that most effective. And then these were the tactics that I did end up using. Now for me, tactically for me, I couldn't find something that really fit well with this formation. Obviously, I've used the 4-2-3-1 before, but I just couldn't. I can't. For me, with the 4-2-3-1, I can't find a set of tactics that seem to work for me, and that's the key thing. You have to find something for your playstyle. I'm someone that is I'm quite an attacking player. I'm definitely a better attacker than I am a defender. But even in this formation, I just felt like it was very tough to get my team to commit to a lot of attacks, so I couldn't really find too much by the way of attacking formation. As I said, the biggest problem with this formation that I found was defensively. It was really solid, but obviously offensively I found that everybody just started so deep that it just took an age to kind of build the attacks. And as I said, I'm quite an aggressive attacker. I'm not someone that builds up my attacks like slowly and methodically, so I want to kind of like attack real quick. I use skill moves, all this, that and the other. So with everybody starting so deep, it didn't really suit my playstyle. I even tried moving the depth up to like 7. Problem is, it just leaves, it just obviously leaves a lot of gaps in defense for your opponents to exploit. So for me, it didn't work out too well. So I kept it on 5. But this is what I ended up using. I had a decent amount of success with this. So let's go into that gameplay and rate this formation. So going into some of the gameplay that we did end up getting with, and as I said, the big thing for me was offensively. I just couldn't get a lot of offensive joy with this formation. You can see in the bottom left, I've actually given the attack a 4 out of 10. Now that could be seen as a bit harsh, and kind of sitting here now, maybe it was a little bit harsh, but when you look at the right hand side, when you look at the last 5 results that we had played with this formation, we had a 2-1 win, a 2-0 win, and then a 3-2 win, and then a 0-0 draw, and then a 3-1 loss. So in terms of goals scored, we only scored, what is that? We only scored, I think, 7 or 8 goals. We didn't score very many goals. We only scored 8 goals, and conceding wise, we only conceded 6 goals. But 6 goals in 5 games is quite good. That's only 1 goal a game. That's not bad. But only scoring 8 goals in 5 games isn't great. So for me, I just didn't have any joy attacking wise. For me, everything was just too difficult to get forwards. My players were just so far back. I just had to be so patient when attacking, and that really doesn't suit my playstyle. And this is a prime example of it when we do pick the ball up here with Socrates. Biggest problem here is you can see we've only got 5 players in the shot there. Vidal at that CDM spot is obviously quite deep. He's in the position where he should be, and Socrates is there. Now really, that on the ball, that should be Mbappe, and in the little red square that we've marked, that really is where Socrates should be. I should be picking the ball up with Mbappe and just been able to lay it off with Socrates, so the positioning wasn't quite right. But I've only got 4 players there in the box, so that's fine. But I just feel like I needed that extra player there on the edge of the box, which just wasn't there. And you can see when we do eventually run it on, we did end up trying to take a turn and shot, and we did end up losing the ball. So I just felt like for me it was just. And we cleaned that up defensively, and that was kind of the way that this went. A lot of attacks broke down. That was one of the biggest issues. Is we got into like good positions, but because we didn't have the numbers in attack. A lot of attacks broke down. You know, defensively it was pretty good. Obviously we're going to concede some goals here and there, concede some of the goals we conceded, and I think that's good that we're including these goals and some of the goals we conceded. Now the thing is, for me, I will say my defence, my actual personnel that I've got, is probably not good enough for this stage in FIFA. We've got Varane, we've got the 81 Militao, and we've got who have we got at right back? I think we've got Semedo at right back. So our defence probably for this stage in FIFA isn't good enough. So that's definitely going to attribute to some of the goals that we are conceding. But overall, the defence wasn't the problem. It was just offensively. We just couldn't get enough bodies forwards, and every time we got forwards, a lot of attacks just broke down. Because when I pick up the player, especially when a lot of people, you know, given the fact that we play in Division 1, a lot of people that play this game do play quite defensive. So you can see in this example, obviously this time around Mbappe picks the ball up. Everyone's in the right position this time around. You know, the pass off to Messi is the only pass that we really have. The pass back to Socrates, there's a guy in the way who's marking it, and out on the right hand side, I think that is Neymar on the right hand side, the pass to him is blocked as well. So the two red squares, that's really where we want my two wide players to be. So I've got an area to lay the ball off, but you can see they're just not in position. So, you know, Mbappe's got the ball here, and it's kind of like, what is he supposed to do with it? And this is, for me, this was an area where I got into a lot. I'd get the ball into a good position, and then I would just have no options. You know, I'd have a guy who's right up my arse trying to take the ball off me, a guy in front. So even trying to just shield and hold on to possession was difficult because I've got two players on me. So eventually they're going to outstrength me and push me off the ball. And you can see eventually we try and force a little back heel to Socrates. Unfortunately, he reads it. And then we clean up the attack again. We stop the attack. You know, he tries attacking, and then Varane is there to break up the attack. And that was kind of how a lot of the games went. You know, we would get into good positions, not have enough players. The attack would then kind of break down. They would try and counter me, and then nothing would come of it. So for me, midfield wise, defensively, this formation is incredible. I just find offensively it's not great, doesn't suit my style of play, and I didn't have a lot of joy with it. But it is a great formation, don't get that wrong. If you can find a set of attacking tactics or instructions, or if you can find a way to make this formation better offensively, you'll get a massive amount of joy with this formation, because it is very, very tough to break down once you are playing against it. But that is it for the formation review, guys. So if you did enjoy this style of video, do let me know in the comment section if you do want this to continue. Any other formations you'd like to see, make sure you do let me know in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.